1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. After a struggle, ne, we are here. What up, guys? What's going on?
One, but let's Abdul. First and foremost, before I begin, I would like to stand vindicated. Our listeners replied en masse and they said, Dan, we actually enjoyed the long music intros. So, Dan, eat your socks and let's get to it.
Phil, I know you're more intelligent than this.
Out at midnight. Catch it tomorrow. New Hollywood Sky. Artwork by Sherman Beloy.
One place where anything goes, where an embrace is better than gold. I wanna go home. There's that one place where only I belong, where I can never, ever, ever be wrong. I wanna go home. Doenda ini, oh doenda ini, doenda ini, dafunga kumba, doenda ini, doenda ini, doenda ini, dafunga kumba.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back to another episode of Two Broke Twimbos. That is the new Halu dropping at midnight. It's called Kamba. Some say Kumba. You know?
Halu from the other side.
Anyway, Dan, how you doing? How you doing besides raising my BP?
That just reminds me, I missed a call from a man's and I meant to call him back and I didn't. My bad. Eish, I have so many of those. I need to get better with my time management. What's going on, Phil? You doing all right?
I'm good. I'm busy. I got a lot of new clients all of a sudden, so it's been a lot of catching up to do.
Nimatambudziko ka.
Why?
There's fellow podcasters that have, I'm going to try and be as neutral as possible, that have dominated the news headlines after losing their lives, Phil, so I just thought you would be affected. Look, I don't know what that man is. As far as I'm concerned, he's a podcaster. We'll talk about it.
As far as your Shire jokes go, these are new heights. You have reached new heights with this one.
What's the joke?
I don't know what that was. Was it a statement? Was it a comment? What is that?
Aiwa, nimatamuziko.
Okay. Now's not the time Okay, the crack jacks. Now's not the time.
When is the time? No, me, I'm not a joke cracker. I'm not a joke cracker, but I've been looking at them, I've been seeing them, and I've been laughing. Anyway, let's actually begin the show, you know.
Good to go.
We gotta ask.
Good to go.
Are y'all?
Good to go.
Come on.
Good to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are y'all?
Good to go.
Sound of it, thing them.
Get mad now.
Let me hear a drum play.
Good to go.
Let me hear a drum
Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast. Two Broke Twimbos are back one more again for another episode of the only podcast you can listen to as the world falls apart around you. We've got a great show lined up for you. My name is Danny That Guy, aka Danos the Mad Titan, aka Denimbi My Life Entertainment, aka Denias, aka, the usual stuff. And also, don't be mad at people for not being mad is what I'm saying. But yeah, welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast.
That's right. He's here with only the unmistakable, the irrefutable, the unquestionable, the undeniable, the unmistakable Phil Chad, aka Twimbos, the big boss baby, aka Hwinza P, aka Headshot for the year. You better work like Daft Punk. Twimbos, the big boss baby, aka Elon Musk, sexy and lover, and of course somebody think or drink. Duck Dan Duck.
We are happy to be back once again. So before we get into any mess and before we discuss nonsense, let's celebrate some people. Let's have some positivity on this podcast, and let's make our own contribution to someone having a brighter day, Phil. Our own legacy in the world shall be us celebrating Zimbabweans and Africans around the world. Let me start off by giving a big shout out to Zimbabwean filmmaker by the name of Amos. Chinodakufa. I know nobody calls you Amos, brother. My man Amos made headlines today, actually, as his film called the Kairos 5, the Shona language film, made its international streaming debut on Apple TV.
Nice.
Shout out to you, Amos, doing your thing. Available on Apple TV.
How'd you spell that?
Amos Chinodakufa.
No, the show, Dan.
Oh, the Kairos 5. Kairos. Then the number 5. The Kairos 5.
All right, let me look this up. All right, dope. Looks dope. Yeah. I see it on all. It's on Prime TV as well and on Apple TV.
I see on here that it said it's going to come out on Amazon Prime soon, but the news story I'm reading is that, it made it to Apple TV. That's where it debuted or it had its international streaming debut on there. And it's the first Shona film on streaming platforms. I don't know if that's true. Or at least the first Shona film on Apple TV. Okay.
Let's stop with these first.
Let me say what they say here.
This is those every time someone says that, like, why?
Phil, I remember when we discussed marketing by Bagger.
No, but that one is just blatant.
But shout out to Amos and shout out to the cast and crew of the film, The Kairos 5, which is making waves on the international streaming circuit. We must watch it, Phil. We must have a watch party together with the patrons. And, we can watch it, both celebrating and also, it will be a safe space. It's a safe space. Yeah, shout out to Amos. So I don't know if this is the. In fact, I know this is not the best place to put it, but it's otherwise we're not going to discuss it today. Zim dancehall artist Hwinza survived a kidnapping attempt in Cape Town this week.
He's been in the news a lot lately.
I believe that this is something to be grateful for. Hence, I shall put it in the celebration section. But the story here says, Zim dancehall star Hwinza came to within a whisker of being kidnapped in Cape Town, South Africa, where he reportedly nearly fell victim to a syndicate of shadowy underworld figures.
Wait, kidnapped to what? To what end?
Phil, why?
I'm not even being messy. I'm genuinely asking. Like, okay, I get. Okay, you know, maybe they think Zim Dancehall is bigger than it is, and you know that's great. That shows that we're doing a great job.
I don't know if that's the takeaway.
No,
So-
a robbery. I get a robbery. I understand. We want what's on your person, whether it's an iPhone 17 or Nokia. We're taking it. We're going. Bish
All
bash
right.
bosh.
I'm
I
reading.
get it.
I'm reading this from one of these blog sites on the internet. Allegedly, he was waylaid by some individuals who tried to grab him and the promoter at the Cape Town International Airport. However, they managed to escape unscathed to an unknown location. And the hired muscle report. Oh, so allegedly it was protection fee for any.
Oh, so it wasn't a kidnapping then. It was a shakedown.
Yeah, it looks
The
like a
moment you-
shakedown.
So wait, were they trying to rob the promoter or was the promoter in on it?
Let me read it for you, Phil. Hwinza, who was with his manager, had reportedly traveled to Cape Town from Johannesburg alongside a promoter only identified as Royce, as he was scheduled to perform at some shows in the mother city over the weekend. Then it mentions the part that I read, that he was waylaid by some individuals and then he managed to escape. It says here, according to a source familiar with the encounter, Hwinza and his manager nearly fell victim to a group of individuals who are the self-appointed security team for the Cape Town Promoters Association. The hired muscle reportedly demands a protection fee for any gig held in the city. Failure to pay this fee results in disruptive behavior from the group.
So it was not a kidnapping. It was a shakedown. Okay, you see, guys, words mean things.
Racketeering. That's what it sounds like to be.
That
But
doesn't sound like racket. So here's another popular thing. And granted, I don't know how many promoters listen to this, but you guys should take note. Whenever you do an international gig, never accept cash. And I've seen it happen. Granted, it's never happened to us because we always want to make sure it's a bank transfer. But what they normally do is they'll pay you in cash.
Mhm.
They've booked your hotel. They know where you're staying. They're controlling your transport. They will give you the cash. Then they will rob you.
Hmm.
So never accept cash.
Anyway.
As you can see, in this instance, they knew where you're staying. They knew when you're going to the airport. They will rob you.
So, you know, as I was looking for Zimbabweans who were doing notable things, I came across this story and I was like, oh, that's a bit crazy. But yeah, there's that for you over there. Okay, Phil, there's a lot of things to talk about this week. So let's get straight into it. We made reference to it in our intro, and I think it's something that everyone is talking about at the moment globally. So I know you were also talking about it in the group and you said you had thoughts and you wanted to talk about it on the podcast. So we may as well put it in here now and get it out of the way.
As a Zimbabwean podcast, our lead story should be a different topic, I think.
Look at it as the first story rather than the lead story. This is an on-demand platform, so you know.
Yeah, and you know what also real as a tease, I realized as the colored community, we really aren't backing up our own. You know, they are really under fire right now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm mixed. So,
So if you were to have a child, that child will be what?
Phil, I think you of all people know that colored is a culture,
Oh, okay.
not a percentage.
Oh, really?
It's not a mathematical application.
Okay. Granted, your child won't be a 00, which will actually be interesting. Your child won't be a 00. What is your suffix?
I'm everything and nothing at the same time, Phil.
Oh, God.
I have my own struggles. I have the biracial struggle.
Okay.
The biracial struggle. No one else will understand it but us and our own. We know ourselves, guys.
Okay, let's move on. Okay. All right.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here's the situation.
Headshot for the year. You better walk around like that.
American conservative activist Charlie Kirk was fatally shot.
Okay.
while
Time out. Sorry, I don't want to be this pedantic. Let's stop calling racists, fascists, Nazis. Let's stop calling them obfusive terms. He was not an advocate. He was a racist.
Okay. So I didn't call him an advocate. I called him an activist. And I'm not here to okay, we'll get into the details of that in a moment, but I didn't say anything that is inaccurate. So I don't know why you're interrupting me. Let me finish the story. Yes,
So-
you
sorry,
you
sorry.
have strong views about the person, but it doesn't change the fact that he was an activist for racism. Yes, he was activism for racism.
Activizing.
American conservative activist Charlie Kirk was fatally shot while speaking at an event in Utah yesterday. The incident and the subsequent reaction from prominent right-wing figures and the media have dominated online discourse. We are obviously, this is not a political podcast. We say that, right? We've been saying that a lot recently because some of these things are just like spilling over into general overall, what's the word for, basically it's an everything discussion at this point. So, okay, Charlie Kirk, even if you don't recognize the name, you've probably seen his face in several clips that go around. In fact, Phil made some reference recently to, that whole one conservative debates, 20 liberals type content that, we've expressed our disdain for in the past. He was a particularly vile person in terms of some of the things that he would say. He had some very strong opinions about Gaza, black people, all kinds of not great opinions, shall we say. One of the things that he was very vocal about was the right to bear arms. In fact, there's a clip going around of him explaining that, look, this is an important right that we need to have, being able to have guns. Unfortunately,
It's
it
a
means
God-given right, which I found interesting.
I don't understand how people would say that. God-given, right? Yeah. And then in his statement, he says, look, this means that some people are going to have to die because obviously there's no society that has a lot of guns where there's no deaths. And, that's just, it's a sacrifice that's worth it.
Yep.
And
like a true leader. What? For all his flaws, I've got to give him props. Like a true leader. Leading by example.
So,
we often say the term falling on your sword. My man literally fell on his sword.
Let's finish the story before you start doing your things, Phil. So I accidentally came across this video. It was everywhere, and I think I said I'm gonna try not watch it, and it auto played on my timeline, and with the morbid and macabre fascination, I watched. Not a pleasant thing to see, I'll say. Now, the reason this is such a big story, because earlier when I made reference to when I called him a podcaster, that Phil thought was a bad joke. The reason I mentioned that is because he doesn't hold office. He's not elected in any capacity. He doesn't represent anyone. He's not on any. He's not a public figure on any traditional media. The only reason he's known is because he's repeatedly amplified from his show, his podcast, and all these different spaces that he appears in, and he says all these kind of things. That very fact in itself is insane to me because it feels like the whole world has stopped for that. And it'll get to that fact as well is going to be part of what I'm going to try to explain a little bit later as well. So there's that part of it, right? As you can imagine, especially things in America, the way things are so divided with the whole right versus left, conservative versus liberal, blah, blah, blah situation that's going on in America. This has obviously led to, obviously, you can expect what all the Republicans and conservatives and MAGA and all of that are saying. Oh, this is what the radical left does, right? What's surprising is the fight that exists in the liberal left, air quotes, with some people dancing on his grave, figuratively, and literally, by the way, I've seen the tutorials for the approved dances. And others who say, listen, this is political violence. It's never called for. It's not right, etc., etc. Which, by the way, is a sentiment in general I agree with.
It's for political violence, but continue.
What is it?
If you want to get really philosophical, we don't know why he was killed. One, political violence is starving people. Political violence is removing of voters' rights. Political violence is the unlawful kidnapping and deportation of individuals. Political violence is cutting taxes. Political violence is closing schools. There's a lot of forms of political violence that we can point to. This one, as currently, we don't know. It's violent, definitely. But we don't know if it's political because we don't know if he was killed. We don't know if he owed someone money. We don't know if he pissed off the Mormons.
Okay.
We no, I'm not even, but I'm just being factual.
No,
we don't
come on,
know
Phil.
why he was killed.
You're focusing on semantic. Look, yes, there's of course a chance that it's some of these other things, but for someone who's been so vocal and so visible for, very extreme rhetoric, it's not an insane conclusion to come to that without full information. It's probably likely that it was motivated by, political opinions. However, I feel like that's not even like, who cares what we call it at this point? What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was describing the whole. Yeah, so the current climate, right, is this debate of, you see, for some people, I'm not fully clued in or tapped in on American politics. In fact, I've sort of made a deliberate effort to avoid, the typical late night shows I watch and the general discussions that I used to watch on YouTube, because it's just, man, America is exhausting at the moment. So I'm not 100% clued in on all the goings in and the movements and the nuances and all of that that's happening in America, right? And I would imagine still, I know way more than the average person who's outside of America. Purely because I pay so much attention to media in general anyway. Now, what has then happened is, I feel like there's, let me say, 4 clear groups of people. One is, radical conservatives, far-right people, etc., etc. 2 is generally people who are somewhat in the center, whether leaning right or leaning left, but general somewhere in the center there, who have this feeling of, we condemn this. There's no space in our country for political violence. And even if you disagree with his opinion, which is wild to me that people phrase it as a mere opinion, but still. But there's a lot of people, and I would say probably the majority of people are in this camp where they feel like, oh, this is a terrible thing that happened. It's not right, blah, blah, blah. And then there's the people who are literally, in fact, these might even be more, I don't know, but there's people who are enjoying the moment, shall we say. Oh yeah, and then I was going to say, and then the 4th group is probably a lot of people who all they know is the headline that they read or the clip that they saw or a little brief statement that they read somewhere, right? And their reaction is going to be very much based on their context. In most cases, their context is very limited. So I think it's worth just mentioning that group of people. And I saw several people who I was quite annoyed by some of the statements that they were posting. But then I reminded myself, you know what? You probably are reacting to a headline or reacting to a soundbite or reacting to a particular news clip, right? So fine, whatever. Let's assume there's people who actually know who Charlie Kirk was and they know the kind of thing that he said and they feel one way or another. Personally, I'm not going to go out in public and, celebrate a demise openly. I may not necessarily mourn. I may make a quip here or there. Hey, things die every day, B. You be all right.
I really wanted to post that in the group. I was like, you know what? Shit. Some people were in their feet. I literally was going to post that camera on me and be like, yo, niggas die every day, B.
So look, I don't think like another one dead is kind of the way I would want to be in general. But I can fully understand. Obviously, you guys, why are we acting confused that a man who has literally spent the last 4 or 5 years, at least that we've seen him in the public eye, saying the most hateful and heinous things about individuals, about racial groups, about countries, and then those people that he spoke about, those people that he said bad things about, are supposed to be like, no, but we got to rise above it all. No, obviously, you can't expect them to mourn. Like, it is what it is, right? But I just wanted to take it slightly further. What was it? 3 months ago, Phil, there was an American elected official that was shot and killed by, some, I don't know, assassin who had a list of several, I think, Democrat. How come we never spoke about it on this podcast?
Because it wasn't really breaking news.
Why?
Like,
I mean, if we were to look at the raw facts, this was an elected official in the government who was assassinated by an assassin who had a list of names of the same political affiliation.
Because, well, I think
Oh, by the way, sorry, I'm
probably
not advocating that we should have. I'm not saying we should have. I'm just
saying, well,
yeah.
I'm speaking to, we normally cover one or two things that are important to us or things that cover the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Right? This caught the attention of the zeitgeist because you're such a lightning rod and you're so out there. That elected official, sadly, I can't remember the name. I know exactly who I know the story, but I can't remember.
I also don't remember the name.
I know they were in Minnesota, and that's about as far as I remember. Right? And ultimately, some of those deaths aren't important because they might have just been doing their job. They might have actually just been a good public servant. They might not have been bad. We don't even know. We don't know what type of person they were. So it doesn't affect us as much. It's the same reason why the deaths of people, like even sportscasters, we might not know them, but it impacts us because we used to watch this person speak about sports every day. You know what I mean? Like if Peter Drury passes away, that's going to affect a lot of people. They've never met him in their life, but because he's commentated on so many passionate moments in football, it's going to impact people. So, and it's all American politics. So yes, we didn't cover it. And to be frank, a lot of Americans covered it either. But I would say that's more important. That's more impactful, especially with the circumstances you just highlighted with the death and the death list. But also it was elected official. And bringing it back to this, we're hearing stories and announcements of flags being flown at half-mast in honor of this individual. This man was not an elected official. He was not a war veteran, but actual members of Congress that can affect laws were killed, and it felt like it went away with a whisper. And I think that speaks to the weird set of circumstances we are right now in the world, where we really have moved towards, like I was speaking about Kierkegaard last week. We've moved to the age of publicity and promotion as opposed to institutions. Institutions seem less important, and it's more so about who the person is.
Yeah. So, okay, here's sort of like the kind of direction I was going with that question also. Obviously, I mean, I saw a lot of people talking on the timeline about this situation that happened a couple of months ago, and not to mention so many different deaths, including public Palestinian figures, including so many different like notable people who have died in the last few months, we have not discussed on this podcast because they have not been in the general zeitgeist. I've seen it talked about, I've seen it mentioned here and there, I've seen it in the news, but I don't even remember the name and so on. This particular name, Charlie Kirk, who in the world of actual politics or actual influence wasn't really anyone. He was more of a media figure, but even then it was a social media figure. Part of the reason why this, I think, is such a big deal is because of agendas. There's so many different groups with different agendas that are pushing their opinions and their agendas. And this kind of event is a perfect event to use as a central point for whatever agenda that is you're pushing. Of course, we know what various right-wing agendas will be, and at the same on the other side, like there's lots of, some people are just cracking jokes. It is what it is. People will crack jokes. Hey man, the Queen died and people were cracking jokes. Tell me what's different here. Explain to me what's different here. In fact, I would argue that this one is even more joke-worthy.
I would know the Queen deserved all the smoke. The Queen deserved the Queen. Like we even joked about at the time, the Queen probably put more numbers on the board than Hitler, and that's not an exaggeration.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating for laughing at violent death. Not at all. What I'm trying to say is understand the climate that we're in. Do you expect people to mourn? On top of that, there's some people who just don't care about this guy, and there's other people who are actually celebrating his demise. It is what it is.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
And it's not a neutral situation. This man put himself in a position as being an op. But on the flip side, what I wanted to say is, I don't know Charlie Kirk well enough to know the answer to this. But I think it's fair, at least in my mind, maybe you can give me your opinion on this, for someone to think and say, wrong things, in my opinion, is a much lighter space to be in than someone who does. For example, if there's someone who thinks, you know what? I don't think black people should have freedom. I mean, I'm never going to do anything about it, but those are my thoughts. To me, that's a despicable person. But I don't think you should be put in jail or persecuted because you have that thought. For someone who actively goes out and puts in place various policies and whatever, like to me, that's someone now who must actually face consequences for that, as opposed to someone who just thinks it. Does that make sense?
So just to understand, where are you classifying Charlie Kirk in this spectrum?
So again, like I was saying, I don't really know him well. So I don't know. But from what I know of him, he was a dude who just said a bunch of stuff. In fact, I low-key think he might have been, rage baiting for his own media career.
No, I don't think he was, because he started this in university when he was 18. And this is where I'll disagree with you. I think, yes, thinking about murder is not the same as committing a murder. However, publicly advocating a murder and emboldening people to go and commit murder is still bad. And that's what he was doing. He had a massive platform. He's one of the reasons the current president of America got elected. There were thousands of people at that university in Utah to see him, not necessarily to also debate him, but to actually support him. You could hear it in the crowd in the video beforehand. And those people are emboldened to share the problematic views against all sorts of people that were being persecuted. So yes, I think he's just as bad, because he's emboldening the people. Just because he's smart enough to realize, I don't have to get my hands dirty, but I can embolden these people to do my bidding and they will get their hands dirty, does not absolve them of the crime. That's like saying a cult leader, because essentially that's what it is to a certain degree. A cult leader isn't as guilty as the people who go and commit crimes in the name of the cult.
I mean, I don't think it's the same. But I also don't disagree with your point. In my mind, I'm just trying to think. I guess in my mind, I rank evils. So to me, the person who goes out and actively does evil to someone is more evil than the person who says, you know what? I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. Even though it's still a high-level evil to me, which is ranked higher to me than someone who just thinks it and doesn't say anything. So anyway, it's just that's like just a separate like thought experiment that I was having there. Coming back to this Charlie Kirk situation, I even in our Patreon group, I saw that there's several people who had wow, damn man, that's crazy. This is this really shouldn't happen, and I think it's okay to feel that, and for someone else to also feel, nah, don't care. In fact, there was someone in our Patreon group who was explaining just how some of the rhetoric that he had about gun violence, for example, really affected her and her family, and
yeah. And I also did want to respond to that, but I thought it would be insensitive to do it in the group, because I think as humans, we are designed to over-index for recency, because that's how we survive evolutionary. And a lot of people were like, yo, man, the world's going to hell in a handbasket. This is crazy. America's spiraling, this, that, and the third. I don't disagree with you, but this is, and also to throw that in, the weirdest comments I see, and I keep seeing them, is people that keep saying, man, this is not who we are as a people. You do realize every time this happens, you say that. This is who America is. Dan, you and I were teenagers when Columbine happened, bro. I don't know. I wasn't even a teenager. I wasn't even a teenager. So 30 years ago, we had Columbine. If we look at the stats of gun deaths in America, it's insane. I think this year alone, we were at 40 school shootings, 5,500 mass shootings or shootings in America alone. Just yesterday, there were 2 school shootings. One of them was Charlie Kirk, and then there was another one that wasn't even reported. That's an incredible level of violence.
I saw a stat somewhere that said 40-something in this year alone in America.
Yeah. So America, I would say, has always been like this. We are now more exposed to it. Like before social media, or even early days of social media, we would never see what we saw. We'd nenever see the bullet hitting his neck and the blood splattering. Like it would be cut off. So we'd be desensitized to it. And I find it so difficult to reconcile the shock and horror, and even us discussing it now, right? I still can't get over it, Dan. I've seen two instances, and just last week I saw a video of people trying to rescue patients that were bombed in a hospital in Gaza. And as they were trying to pick them out of the rubble, another shell hit them and blew them up live on TV. I've seen that. I've seen a baby, a child, split in two and their legs hanging from the top of a wall. Like, we've seen grotesque, horrible things because this is what the world has come to. And this is what essentially the world has been. Granted, it's more pervasive because of advanced weaponry. But I just don't get when people default to these statements and avoid the reality and the pragmatism of the situation. If you're in America, I can't even relate to the danger or the anxiety and the stress you feel. Like, granted, in Zimbabwe, we deal with a lot of things. We deal with some crazy driving. We deal with a lot of things. But you know what I know? Like, if I deal with a crazy driver or Honda Fit cutting me off, and I'm in a bit of road rage, and I open my window and I cuss him out, you know what the last thing I'm worried about is? Him pulling out a gun and killing me. But that's a reality in America. That's a legit reality.
Mm.
And in as much as gun violence is terrible and it affects a lot of people, particularly in America, and I have a lot of empathy for you guys in that regard, I cannot have empathy for someone who is as horrible as Charlie Kirk was. I just can't. Whatever reasons were for his death, I will find that. Hopefully, maybe we'll find that out in due course. But I will not be mourning the world losing one more Nazi. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, just to move away from the American discussion, just as a general thing, I think, like, I saw people today posting, I don't know, in support, I guess, like I sort of alluded to it a little bit earlier. And my initial thought was to educate and then I was like, no, wait, hold on. The America is a microcosm of in fact, microcosm is the wrong word. It's probably the canary in the coal mine that's really showing the direction that the world is going when it comes to division. When I was sort of hinting at the idea of, to me, someone thinking racism, for example, is a lesser evil than someone doing it, I can go a little bit even lower than that. What about someone who thinks, I mean, there's a lot of immigrants in this city. That's all. They just thought that. It's like, there's a lot of immigrants in this city.
But okay, wait, finish your thought. Sorry, finish your thought.
That thought, there's no room for that thought to exist and be explored or discussed or in any kind of good faith space, because the world is so divided. You are either pro or against. You're either a fascist or you're a communist. It's like, there's this such a harsh divide, especially on social media. And I know in the real world, life is a little bit different. But social media does also like show some of what people see the world as. And, you know, I just want to be like, I wish it wasn't so, you know. I wish someone could express a thought and then someone could say, yeah, look, I can see why you would think that way, but think of it this way as well, and think of that, and think of it. Okay, I think of this, but I don't think this. Okay, cool. Agree to disagree. We move. I wish that was a normal interaction that we could expect to have. On social media, it's definitely not. In the real world, I think it still exists, but I think it's getting rarer. So, yeah, I mean, when I saw, like, so for example, certain people either expressing public support or whatever the case is, I was trying to wrestle this idea in my mind that I have this worldview that has come from the information that I've received. Other people have different worldviews from the information that they've received. And as long as someone is not actively harming other people, there should be room for someone to have a worldview and for us to be able to discuss it. And if there's things that need to be updated or new things that need to be learned, it should be a normal occurrence. Oh, I didn't know that. Should be a normal conversation, as opposed to death to you swine, which feels like when you're on social media, at least, what the world is at the moment. So anyway.
I think I even had to stop myself because my initial reflex was to rebut you. I think you do have a point. There's a lot of people that don't allow room for nuance. And I think a lot of it's just the design of social media, especially like what we've discussed recently, with almost 60% of all social media traffic being bots. It's designed to be divisive. So yeah, having the thought that, hey, there's a lot of immigrants. Because that could actually be a positive. Like, hey, we're a diverse culture. We've got a lot of immigrants. Or, hey, there's a lot of immigrants. People aren't speaking English yet. That's a natural, I think, a fair thing. Now, if there's a lot of immigrants here, they need to go back to where they came from. That's where we start treading into some dangerous territory.
Now, you're right. But for someone to think, for that thought to enter someone's mind, that, man, there's more immigrants here than there were before, right? From a negative direction, right? For someone to think that does not automatically mean they're a Nazi. It means the worldview that they've grown up with, that has shaped around them and whatever, makes them think in that direction. For them to be able to express that thought, as opposed to let's round them all up and ship them out of here. Okay, now we've gone too far. But just to have that thought and discuss it and explore it is not possible. For someone to say, man, I saw a clip of this dude who I've seen. The other thing that I don't take for granted is, our bubbles are so different. Every video I've ever seen of that man has been anger-inducing. But I also know for a fact, and I only know this now post his death, that there's some people who the only videos they saw of that man was the times that he spoke about how important it is to look after your children and how, the Bible and God and whatever. Now, I don't think, there's anything like, yeah, no, he's a different person to different people. I don't view it in that direction. What I'm trying to say is, I can see where someone doesn't even know what's happening. All they've seen is there's a clip of this guy who they saw something that he said about loving his kids or something, and then he got shot. What is this world coming to? Or maybe they know him as, he's a bit of a controversial figure, but I mean, he shouldn't get shot. Like, I can see a world in which people only see that much and only know that much. Because not everyone knows everything about everything. I can even see a world where even if they did find out all the other things that he said, they might say, yeah, I mean, that's kind of messed up, but doesn't deserve to be killed. Fair. So, I was just thinking, I was reacting to my reaction of seeing people post support towards him. Plus, something that I've also spoken about on this podcast before is just how much I dislike the culture of performatism that I feel is so pervasive on social media. Everyone wants to show how righteous they are by their opinion or what they say because this is the correct thing to say. It's almost like a brand decision. You're like viewing yourself as a company that, oh no, we might lose customers if we say this, so let me say this instead. Sometimes it just feels like that is a lot of driving force that exists in the world. Anyway, that's our international news this week.
Yeah. So in closing, niggas die every day, B. Should have worn a helmet. That's what he should have done.
The next big story, Phil.
Hold on. Before you transition, let's see if we can get a correspondent on the line. Hello.
Phil, you got
What's popping, bud?
Good evening. Am I speaking to Dennis Shoko?
No, this is assistant. Let me just put you through to Dennis.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Yo, what's good, bro?
My G, what's up, man? Hey, your assistant is working past 9. Hey, I don't know.
Bro.
Is this
the grind never sleeps?
Where's the assistant operating from? Because it sounds like you're in bed.
Bro, I'm not the first one to do what I'm doing with assistants. This has been happening since the beginning of time.
Damn, how you still got an assistant, bro? I thought the money was drying up.
Money was drying up.
Money drying
Wow.
up like a cuticle.
I thought money
You
was
grasp
drying
it
up
with
with
air,
the whole,
dog.
you
It's
know, the whole
beautiful.
situation.
There is
Dennis, you're live on
The
the
money's
podcast,
dry.
Drago.
the money. You said what now?
I said you live on the podcast, bro.
Yo, was good. No,
So, listen.
that was actually it was me doing a different voice, guys.
I think
I
everyone
promise.
knows that. Everyone knows that, Dennis. We were just about to discuss probably the biggest story in entertainment in Zim at the moment, and we're going to talk about Holy 10. So we thought to get his official spokesman on the line so we can get an official position from the camp.
Fair enough.
So yeah, how are things there at Samanyanga Sounds? How's the mood in the office right now?
We're doing all right.
Mhm,
Obviously, I think at a certain point we started to get a little too ahead of ourselves.
Ah,
I think that would be the kindest way to ourselves to put it. And it's not uncommon. You have to understand that as any other artist or creative for that matter, you operate in your own echo chamber. So it's very easy for you to believe that you have sort of like surpassed the level that you're actually at. And I think that's what was starting to happen with our boss over here. But I think there's been some order that's been restored.
Operation Restore Order.
Yes, there's been some operation to restore order that has taken place. And I do hope, the rest of us hope, because we don't want to see someone younger sound die. It's quite literally the most monumental thing that's happened to hip hop music. The fact that I've seen people who have never spoken about Zim hip hop talk about Zim hip hop because of the current context, that it's existing in, and you take that as a win. So hopefully we see him take a couple of steps back, do some introspection, and come back on the other side, a little bit stronger.
Word, definitely. Well,
Yeah, but away from the PR answer, parubezi.
Okay, look. For those of our listeners who don't really know what happened, look, there was several major crash outs that happened over the past couple of days, and there's a lot of things that I would criticize, but I don't want to see. I don't want to see it get to these stages. I would like for us to remain cool, just in general. So what I would prefer to hear at the moment is, in your knowledge as an inside man,
Okay.
I just want to know how much of what has happened is a PR stunt, how much of it is real things.
So I'm not going to say this as an official position of any kind. But it's pretty important. I think a lot of it has been PR over the years, right? He's in his 5th year now of being the biggest thing in Zim hip hop, at least. And over time, a lot of what's happened has been PR stunts. But I think as it always plays out with attention economics, to keep getting the attention over PR stunts, they have to touch new levels each time. And I think there would have been some restraint if it weren't for the fact that I do think there's also been genuine substance abuse at some point along the way. And when I say substance abuse, I am mostly talking about alcohol here. I don't want to suggest that he's done more. I'm not saying that he hasn't, but I don't know about that, so I'm not going to say that as a.
That's just
as
the
a
word.
matter
The
of
word
fact.
mostly there is doing a lot of hard work. Dennis is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I need to be clear. I don't know for sure what else has been done, but I know that there's been a lot of like alcohol, right? And I think the bravado, the extra bravado of a mix of feeling like I can pretty much get away with anything. he's done several things that most people wouldn't be able to get away with over the years, especially in the last maybe 12 months, 12 to 18 months. And I think each time he's gotten away with it, he's felt like, oh, I could take it a step further and I can take it a step further. So, which is why I said in the beginning that I really hope that this will be a moment that he takes to like step back and introspect and re-strategize. Because I will tell you that he's one of the smartest guys that you're going to come across. He understands how PR works. And obviously, like you guys understand PR in depth as well. He may have just miscalculated his actual position, which you really need to understand if you're going to determine which direction you're going to take, right? Which PR position you're going to take. And I think that's what he might have miscalculated. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I think a lot of it has been PR, very well calculated, understanding, in rollouts, etc. But in this most recent one, I think it was a mixture of, I think I can get away with doing that, because he was talking about an album with Michael Maggs, which is supposed to drop on the 7th of September, which obviously didn't end up dropping.
Oh, they're back together. Wow.
Yeah, they're cool. They had a lot of music from before already, so I think they were just going to polish up some of that and put it out. So I think there was a bit of that, which is let's do the PR thing, and then how can I take it a step further, and then with the alcohol and everything else, then took it a little too far.
And this leads me to my final question. Do you fear the known associates tag that you are currently carrying?
Because but in file issues, but file with your name on it.
Known associates of Muguzei. There's one Janice.
No, man, not really.
Ria, you're in the WhatsApp groups. Sorry, my bad.
I'd be paying attention, just trying to see what's going on. But I mean, more seriously, it's just I'm not that close to him. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I wanted to hear. All these claims that you. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I've never said that. I knew him personally.
When the chips are down, see how they all abandoned.
No. I mean, listen, he's my guy. He's my guy.
Which is it, Dennis? Which is it?
Huh?
Listen, there's a really wide scope between I know this person well and this is my guy.
Is it Uchiwali or on mic? Huh?
He's like a top 150 guy.
Wow.
Wow. You know what I mean? He's doing well. And climbing at the moment.
Like rats abandoning a ship. Look at this.
Listen, he don't even make it the top 140 of the people I know, Your Honor.
But I will say, though, that my position on him is still that he is the greatest hip-hop artist that this country's ever seen. And he's done more for hip hop as an individual than any other single human being since its inception. And I think he does deserve a little bit of grace, especially considering that we gave a 24-year-old, he's 26 now, but we gave a 24-year-old the capacity to drive Benzes and Range Rovers in the poorest country in the world.
And Nas made Illmatic at 19, bro. Come on.
Sorry?
Nas made Illmatic at 19. What are we saying here, bro?
Yeah, no, but what Nas is with Illmatic, if I were to put it in the context of Zimbabwe music, is Ray Cass did this. You know what I mean? It's very different from the guy who is making the biggest money. Illmatic is certified classic, right? But Nas was never the biggest artist. It's like having J. Cole and having Drake. You can talk about J. Cole being a better rapper all you want, but this guy who's genre bending and doing all this other stuff and reaching the pop scene, that guy is he becomes the greatest. And that you'll find that in every single rap market you want to look at. That's Casper in South Africa, that's Drake in the US, and that's Holy 10 here. they push it to a different level. They
We-
they open up new doors that weren't previously open to that space.
We got the trifecta here: Drake, Casper, and Holy. Hey,
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's
Uh,
And
what's
those
your,
they're the
argu-
greatest in their market.
your argument?
Aye, man.
they're
Look,
not-
cool. Okay.
Even
is he really in rehab?
He's in
Uh,
he's
no,
in
I-
some form of
I-
rehab.
I-
I can guarantee
I
that.
don't suspect he is. I would suspect he's gonna go at least for a little bit. He'll do the dump like St. Phil did.
Just to mark a register, just to make sure.
Yeah.
Do you
So you
think?
can come back and apologize, take him seriously.
Do you think? So okay, like part of like any actions that you make for PR, obviously you're planning for notoriety. So if he drops a
Yeah.
song, obviously everyone's gonna go check out what is this song that this person we've been hearing about all week has made. If he drops a music
Yeah.
video, I expect it to have a lot of views. If he announces a show right now, I would expect that not that many people would want to go.
Yeah, that is true too.
So I'd like
That is true too.
I get the idea of PR, but surely you have to have like a strategic long-term plan. I don't know. And then obviously there's questions of making enemies of people that you don't really want to be making enemies of. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get away from that. He shouldn't be making enemies with people that can get him beaten up. That's not smart.
Who's getting who beaten up? Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Listen.
What?
You guys still want to run this podcast?
No. You asserted no. Let's make it clear. Denise Dube and Philip Chard were merely talking about a rapper. Someone else mentioned beat up, and we try to clarify. When you say get someone with the power to get you beaten up, who are you referring to? Because we weren't alleging anyone. We were not alleging anyone in particular.
But what I was saying is, as any rational human being, you have to try and not put yourself at odds with people that can get you beaten up. That could be Kiki Badass.
Yeah, that is true.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's any other characters like Kiki Badass who can get you beaten up on that scale or a higher one with personal or institutional power, maybe stay away from those guys. You know what I mean?
Dennis, like you keep digging yourself out of the hole and then you dig yourself back in. I don't understand. Like, I'm trying to help you here. I'm trying to help.
What hole? Ain't no hole. Ain't nobody say nothing. Yeah.
I can't help myself. But just to go back to Danny, I think it was Danny who was talking about like him doing a show. I think there are, and I always say to Phil, like, I don't like talking about music with you because I know that you know so much more than I do. And that goes for you guys, both of you, to be fair. But I think there are different models to careers, right? Especially for an industry as young as ours. So before 2020, right? I got in trouble for saying that there was no real industry. And by industry, I mean where you can have artists who can take care of their families from doing it and are also employing people downstream. So the managers that you have can also take care of their families. And you have, media personalities who can become genuinely big media personalities because they're talking about people like you, right? So the fact that Zim Celebs now sees Holy 10 stories as stories we're talking about, and Fold stories and Same Flow stories, Bagger and Bling 4, etc. None of that was happening on a large scale. So we had individuals along the way. You could talk about Shona, you could talk about David Chifunise, maybe Tin and Breezy, you know what I mean? Like, you could talk about individuals along the way, but we actually have a full-on ecosystem right now. And I say that to say, when it comes to, sorry, I actually forgot what this was about. What was it? What was it?
Are you sure you don't want to join him in the halfway house?
No. I'm good. Like, I mostly have myself under control.
You were explaining why you feel Holy is the GOAT and we need to give him grace.
Oh, fair enough. I was explaining that I think that people have different models. So because it's so early on in what this version of our industry is, you have Saint Flo, who is funded by Nash TV, right? You have Volt, who is probably the only one kind of like mapping out his own way. And he's not in a Tesla or a Range Rover, right? Which is ultimately, at the end of the day, you want to make this money so you can buy a house, buy a car, etc. Saint Flo lives in the Brook, drives crashed a Tesla, but still drives a Mustang and, the other double cab, etc. Holy 10 makes, by my estimation, across all streaming platforms, somewhere between $100 and $150 a day, right? So from just his streaming money, he's making anywhere between 3,000 and 4,500.
There's no way that's happening, Dennis. I can tell you right now.
Okay, so we can discuss it. I'll tell you why I landed those numbers, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. Because again, I do. He's averaging at the moment close to 140,000 views a day on YouTube. And I don't know what those numbers, because obviously it's not as easy to access the Spotify, etc. So I assume that given his CRMs, he would be making about $500 per million views on YouTube, because obviously it's a little bit lower for this part of the world, where those guys could make about $1,000. So I don't know if that's far-fetched that he's making about $50 off of 150,000 views a day.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
It's well, there's multiple variables. That's if he controls all of the pub and all the mechanicals, those numbers aren't far-fetched. But
which he does. Remember, Holy 10 goes as far as editing his own music videos.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he makes the beats, he like mixes and masters, he does all kinds of things. And funny enough, you look at like Saint Flo doesn't make any money from Silas Mavende. That all goes to Holy 10. He doesn't make any money from Under Pressure. It doesn't. So everything that he does with his artists under Samanyanga Sound and the stuff that's published under his channel, those guys don't even get a cut. There's no split sheet. There's nothing. That's just Holy 10's money. So again, that's how I wanted to explain the methodology and how I ended up at that number, which I was trying to be as prudent as I can while being biased to a guy I like. But ultimately, it was coming down to, if he makes that much from his YouTube, and then you take whatever he makes from his Spotify, Apple Music, then I can see him touching 100. Maybe it's not, but it's close, right? And then his show right now, his booking fee, if you call him, they'll tell you 3,000, but if you have 2,000, you're getting it, right?
Dennis is just putting out all the business. Just putting all the business on Front Street.
And if I don't get the information from you, then I just did research, so it counts, right?
No, we have the information. We just don't put it out there.
Maybe we should bleep that part out. Nah, it's fine. Whatevs. Yeah.
No, if you got Kwanzi, you'll cuss out Dennis. Why are we involved?
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, you can call his manager and just be like, bro, I want to book you for a show. How much does it charge? Like, that's how I get most of my information. And then I negotiate until I see where your breaking point is. But anyway, my point was, he's going to charge you about 2,000. He doesn't have a manager that gets a 20% cut right now as we speak. If he comes out with his band members get like about $100 each. So in the fullest form of his band, which is, I think there's 4 of those guys, and then the backup sing. No, he doesn't use the backup singers anymore. The dancers sometimes they get like $50, and there'll be 4 of them. That's $200. So ultimately, I'm saying that he's going to make $1,000 net of his expenses at a show.
You haven't factored in bookings and transport yet, though.
No, I factored that in.
No, rehearsals. Sorry, rehearsals and transport.
You think rehearsals?
No, they do rehearse. To be fair, they do rehearse. That's a very fair point. But I mean, the numbers that I'd added up were like $600. So let's say another $400 goes towards that. it still leaves like $1,000 towards everything else. And those guys don't get paid for rehearsal; they get transport, which is probably $10 each per session, and I doubt they do it weekly. But ultimately, what you're then looking at is a guy who is, because as much as he's getting canned everywhere he goes, he's still getting booked, right? He's getting booked all the time so he can get canned. So let's say, and when I look at, like, there was a time, I haven't done it recently, but the last time I did it, which was just before winter, he was averaging like 5 to 6 shows a month. So he's not performing twice every week, but he'll perform like on average every week, and then like an extra one. That's including like the school shows, etc., which they charge a little bit of a premium for as well. But ultimately, you're looking at a guy who's 25 years old and makes $8,000-9,000. Convincing him that there's a longer term play that he needs to consider is really hard, because for the most part, very few of us make that kind of money. So it's also why I think he's then suffered from having a lot of just like yes men around him, because there's no one who can tell him stuff that he can take seriously. I think that's what like someone like Saint Flo would have benefited from, because he got Tinasim Tarisi, who could be like, bro, I have more money than you. I will have more money than you likely all your life. Listen to me. I'll put you in the book. So those are the kinds of things, those are the kinds of like people who can get through to him, and which was for a long time just on PF, and how they put him in Arlington, gave him a Range Rover, did this and that. So it's tricky. Like I'm saying, I think
allegations
with the
that I'm
balance
hearing.
of where he is, allegedly. But yeah, the base of where he is as a person is just, it's mostly too good for him to understand what the naysayers are saying, as you would feel.
All right, and that was Pocket Watching with Dennis Joko. Tune in every Thursday, where we will continue watching the pockets of artists and media personalities alike. Anyway, we're calling just to get an understanding. So basically,
No, don't ask him any more
back
questions, Phil.
Yeah, no, just go back to
Send this man back. He's got
Paga
Bible study to do at the moment.
Yes, but no, thank you so much for giving us the frontline reporting from Samanyanga Sounds. That was our correspondent reporting live from Samanyanga Sound Studios at Dennis Joko. As you can hear, it's very quiet over there. Not a lot of music being made.
We have like 140 songs in the tuck, though.
I love the we.
It's we. First it was it's not even in my one top 50. Now it's we. Now it's we as a collective.
Bro, we're just working on tying up some loose ends. Probably give you like the most Daremero type sounding song you've heard in a long time.
Okay. No, we look forward to it. But yeah, no, thank you so much for joining us and being a good sport there, Danny.
Nah, I appreciate you guys, man.
Later, Dennis.
Bless up. Big up.
Cheers.
All right. I don't know, Dan, if you want to give the contextuals.
Do you know what? I still feel the same way I felt last week when we remember we just mentioned Holy Ten's name. We're like, we're tired. Little did we know that the tired was going to get tired.
He was like, but wait,
there's more. Yeah, look, Holy Ten had major crash outs. I feel for his wife. I do think there's lots of elements of smoke and mirrors that we don't see, but I also think that this was genuine actual crashing outs. So, yeah, I don't know. He even put up a GoFundMe and was like, listen, we need your help. There were certain allegations made and conversations about children. I was like, hey.
Has someone finally donated to that GoFundMe? Because the last I checked, no one was participating.
Why would anyone? If anyone donates that GoFundMe, I know that man put money in his own GoFundMe.
After Dennis just explained every bit of his financial status.
If someone was planning on donating, they were like, nope. Keeping my money.
Can you imagine like homie was planning a jet? It's like, don't worry, let me get these guys. Then Dennis comes and gives him the whole balance sheet. It's like, no guys, actually from a cash position, we are very robust right now.
As the tech ombudsman, Phil, the people are waiting eagerly to hear what your take is on the new iPhone 17 lineup.
It's the same thing all over again. I was so bored. Like, and I was laughing at it because as unimpressive as the phone itself is, granted, they're incremental improvements, very incremental improvements. I was laughing at how bad Google is at promoting their phones. They dropped an incredible phone with incredible features, including the fact that it launched with Nano Banana.
Mhm.
And no one is talking about anything. It's so weird how even after all these years, Google is still so bad at launching a product, and Apple has mastered the art of launching nothing.
I mean, hold on there, Phil. We're expecting a lot of Google. It's not like, what are you claiming? They're like the biggest advertising company in the world or something. Get out of here, man.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's not
they
like
what?
it's not like they understand advertising. Well, they happen to have the biggest streaming platform in the world that controls the biggest influences for tech. What? You know?
So I knew this was going to be your take because this is your take every year. This has been your take every year since, I'm sure, the iPhone 4. I watched it. I will tell you that I thought it was more impressive this year than last year. The iPhone 16 truly gave us nothing. The iPhone 17 gave us nothing, but with, a little bit of spice on it. It was nothing with spice.
It's orange now. Now with orange. And a phone that will bend in your pocket with a battery that will barely last an hour.
Realistically, right? Phones have reached peak phone. Samsung is not like the flagship Samsung, the S25, the S24, the S23. The changes have been incremental across board. The latest Pixel has some interesting things in it, but realistically, the changes have also been incremental. Same is true of everything. At least with Samsung, they're innovating with things like the flip and the fold and the whatever. That's cool. Let's see if Apple, as rumors say, next year bring us a folding phone. But apart from that, I don't think ever since the first iPhone, Apple hasn't ever really been the blazing in the forefront of innovation. What they've always been is, whether true or not, but perceived as high quality. So I did get the feeling just from watching the event that they were paying attention to quality. And then I watched several reviews afterwards of people who were at the event. I watched MKBHDs and I watched Dave 2Ds and I watched Mr. Who's the Boss. And they all seemed to be, all of them were like, look, there's a couple of things that are worth mentioning, but realistically, if you're on iPhone 16, don't buy the 17. That goes without saying. If you're on 15, probably don't buy the 17. If you're on a 14, you know what? The incremental updates have probably grown enough that you will notice a big jump when you buy it. I'm still on a 13. So, I'm waiting for my wife to buy me a phone. So I'll definitely feel the jump. The iPhone Air, again, I mentioned already, I think the theory or the idea is that they're introducing this as a precursor to the folding phone, but I also don't understand it because do people want a thinner phone? I don't, but maybe there's people out there who like really care about aesthetics and to them that's the most important part.
But also a thinner and worse phone.
It's theoretically, okay, so it's got the Pro chip and it has several Pro features. Don't ask me to name what the Pro features off the top of my head, but they're very minor. But it's got the Pro chip. So theoretically, it's supposed to have better performance. It's got a bigger screen.
But it's got less GPU cores than the other Pros.
Yes, yeah. So you wouldn't be buying the Air for gaming, for example. But it would be better performance when it comes to things like video and photo. And again, it has only one unified camera. So if you're going to be doing depth of field and whatever, it's going to be difficult. I think the iPhone Air is purely aesthetic. Purely aesthetic. And there will be a market for that. Definitely, I can already see that there's people that look at that thin phone and they're like, damn, this is beautiful, yo. They're never going to put a cover on that phone and hopefully the ceramic shield helps it. I don't know. But verdict, I'm not as cynical as Phil is, but even I feel like any updates have been incremental. The orange intrigued me in the sense of, damn, that's bold. I don't know yet if I like it. On the one hand, I like that it's bold. I feel like that's not a thing we're used to from Apple, doing something that's a little out of the box. But it's a very garish color. So I'm not yet sure how I feel about it. I think I need to see it in person to know if I'll like it or not. The iPhone Air, I don't think I'll ever buy it. But literally everyone I watched who reviewed it were like, listen, when I held it in my hand, I was like, damn, this is a beautiful phone.
Yeah.
Then obviously I would always want to get the Pro models for maximum performance. Yeah. Hey, if you are keen to hear your tech ombudsman give you advice on phones, if you've got a 16, don't bother. You have close to the best that Apple have to offer. If you've got a 15, you're not too far off. Don't worry. 14, maybe 13. Yeah, that's where you need to think about upgrading.
All right. Let's get to the topics people care about, Dan. The VMAs. Did you watch them? Actually, I haven't had a chance to watch it. It's been a very busy week. But our girl Tyler walked away with a couple of wins. Did you watch them, Dan?
Phil, when I saw this on the talking points, I was like, why are you bringing old news? Weren't the VMAs last year? Oh.
So
I didn't even know that was happening. And then wait, was that where Ice Spice and there was a video of Tyler going around with Ciara and stuff. Was that at the VMAs?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay. All right. What happened at the VMAs?
Awards were given out to various people. That's as far as I know. Well, we know that Tyler won a Best Afrobeats, and I saw the most ridiculous stat that made me burst out laughing. I was like, guys, I know we want to support her, but this is ridiculous. They were like, Tyler now becomes the most celebrated African at the VMAs, beating out Wizkid, Rema, and Thames. Guess how many awards Tyler has to the others?
3.
No, she has 2. The others have 1. I was like, guys, this is the most useless stat you've ever given. This is ridiculous.
Did they lie?
So yes, Tyler won Best Afrobeats for Push to Start. So shout out to her. Mariah Carey won Best R&B, which is impressive. Best Hip Hop went to Doechii for Anxiety, which was a pleasant surprise, I think.
Pleasant. Do you like that song?
It's not bad. I don't hate it. It's okay. It's cool. It mixes very well with Goche. It's a very good, when I'm on my DJ set, it's an easy blend. Easy.
It's the same song, Phil, but I mean, when it was just a meme or it was being used on social media, cool. But I've never sat down and felt like I want to listen to Anxiety. I love Doechii, by the way, and I've said that on this before, and I loved her album. But Anxiety is kind of weird song.
Yeah, for me with my debilitating anxiety, it actually did help.
Isn't it better to read the lyrics, all right?
I
don't hate
What I found funny was, guess who won Best Rock?
Lil Wayne.
Coldplay for a song called All My Love. And considering what they've been up to recently, that was hilarious to me.
I didn't know Coldplay would count as rock, but cool.
Not Like Us only won in Best Cinematography, lost out in most of the major categories. Best Visual Effects were Doechii again with Anxiety.
I can't remember the video if it's good or not.
Yeah, I mean, outside of that, it was pretty thing. It was pretty.
Artist of the Year, Lady Gaga.
I'll give him a watch.
Video of the Year, some Ariana Grande song that I literally don't recognize. Brighter Days Ahead. Phil, I'm so washed. Okay, I know Birds of a Feather. Billie Eilish, I know that. Obviously, I know Not Like Us. Die With a Smile, I know that. I know APT, Rosé and Bruno Mars. I don't know Sabrina Carpenter, Manchild. I don't know The Weeknd and Playboy Cardi, Timeless.
Oh, that was performed at the Grammys. It's just imagine screams placed on top of nails on a chalkboard while you crumple tinfoil.
Beautiful. Who's Alex Warren?
A country star. He's actually on Big X The Plug's album, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, Best New Artist. Best Pop Artist went to Sabrina Carpenter. Oh, okay, cool. MTV VMAs. While we're on the topic of awards, the one that I did sort of see was the Emmy Awards. And
I did love Kendrick did win there.
they were saying that my man's aiming for a PGOT, not even an EGOT, because he's also got a Pulitzer. The reason why I paid attention, or the reason why the Emmys came across my desk, shall we say, is because of the unofficial fight between Penguin and Agatha all along, DC versus Marvel, which I didn't realize that was a fight, but apparently, there's groups of fans that were talking about, no, but the Marvel show Agatha all along was amazing. I mean,
no, it was good, but guys, come on,
nice.
Come on.
It was fine.
Okay, I think these are bots. There's no way.
Phil.
Dan, placing Agatha all along and Penguin in the same sentence is ridiculous. Are they 5-year-olds? What the hell are you talking about?
So anyway, that's when I noticed that, it's a Marvel versus DC thing, which is insane because the Penguin was an amazing piece of television. I enjoyed that so much. So.
All right. Well, let's see. Do you want to talk about Young Thug?
Whoop-de-doo. So the reason I put this on here is partly because I wanted to understand what was happening. And I figured you would have the information.
I'm tapped in. So how do I start the story? As you guys may know, Young Thug was in jail for a RICO case. As part of the RICO case was his gang. There's a lot of members that he started. He actually dissed on a song that he dropped last Friday. But if you remember, Gunna took a plea. And in that plea, he basically stated that YSL was indeed a gang, but he wasn't involved in it. And then he was able to return home, and everyone started calling him a snitch. Young Thug's father, soon after this, Young Thug's father called into a podcast and said, hey, there's nothing that Gunna said in this plea that is going to affect our case. And nothing from that plea actually made it to Young Thug's trial. However, Young Thug took offense to this and was hurt. He then did a 3-hour interview with Bank, which I did not watch, but I watched some highlights from. So many great highlights, but we'll come back to that big bag interview later. So the narrative around Gunna has been, since he was released, that he was a snitch. And it stuck until Gunna started releasing hits again. And when he started releasing hits, people were like, yeah, he's a snitch, but he's making the girls bop. He's got these bangers. You know what I'm saying? No one cares. All right, let's get back to it. And eventually, as you know, Young Thug also took a plea bargain that gave him 20 years of parole. He was released. And there was some confusion or misunderstanding as to how he would then treat and approach Gunna, because as part of the terms of his release, he did ask for permission to communicate with Gunna. Obviously, Gunna is part of his label. So people thought maybe this was a good sign that they'd maybe reconcile. Upon his release, that was not the case. And also a lot of Young Thug's friends started dissing Gunna. 21 Savage, Wham, Lil Baby, as they call him, others etc. And then since then, Young Thug has basically been going on one of the worst press tours and prison release tours that we've seen. He's embarrassed himself many times. He's embarrassed his girlfriend Mariah the Science many times. He's stuck to a street code that people are very confused by, because a part of your parole means that you're supposed to have absolved yourself of that lifestyle. And you don't seem to understand the ramifications of these things. A lot of tweet and deleting, a lot of saying this, that, and third, a lot of liking posts disparaging Gunna, etc. And then it all came to a head when calls that Young Thug made while in jail started leaking. And if you aren't familiar with the American prison system, you can't make a call. You've got to make a collect call to an outside individual. But the moment the call connects, it tells you, this call is being monitored. In fact, it periodically tells you, because even in some of the recordings, it breaks the conversation. Like while they're talking, it'll tell you, this call is being monitored.
I mean, wouldn't you also just know that?
For some reason, he seemed to have forgotten this, because he was spilling all the tea. Young Thug was doing nothing but talking on the phone, to the point where people are just calling him Chatty Patty. There were memes of him where they took his face and they put it on Summer Walker's body for her last album cover where she was on the phone. And my man was talking about anyone and everyone. He was talking about Glorilla, calling her an ugly Rihanna, Brianna. And then Glorilla had to come out and say, fam, you've been in my DMs. He was talking about Drake.
That's what I saw. This leak from Glorilla.
He spilled the tea on why Metro Booming and Drake are beefing, because Metro Booming was burying his mother who had been tragically shot by her boyfriend, and Drake wanted a beat, or rather wanted to be on a song that Metro was keeping for his album, and he didn't want Drake on, which was very insensitive. Even Young Thug saw that. He was weirdly enough, or funny enough, calling out Future for being a deadbeat dad on the phone. He basically went at everyone. He said Andre 3000 has done nothing for the South, which is a ridiculous statement. He was insulting Kendrick because Kendrick didn't give him a feature. He was chatting on anyone and everyone. And one of the first calls to get released was a 2-hour interrogation before this case, where he was talking to police. And the highlight from that case or that call was, he basically said, yo, this is my number. If you need anything from me, call me. I'll tell you what you need to know. Just don't let the world know. And also, he then pointed the finger at the individual. Oh, sorry. Bit of context. For those of you that don't know, when Young Thug first broke on the scene and they did the song Lifestyle, my brain is spacing on the group that him and Birdman were part of. It was Birdman, him, and Jeez Louise. Why am I forgetting his name? He just passed away. Jeez. Rich Gang. There we go. Rich Gang was Young Thug, Rich Homie Quan, and Birdman. When they first broke onto the scene, Birdman was basically saying, I don't need to, because remember, at this point, this was about a decade ago. At this point, Birdman and Lil Wayne were beefing. And there was that whole Free the Carter movement. Birdman and Thug were positing that Young Thug was the new Lil Wayne. So they didn't need Lil Wayne anymore. So Lil Wayne and Young Thug got into a beef. Lil Wayne had his tour bus shot up. And the rumors were that Young Thug was the person behind it. Young Thug was being interrogated about said shooting and said, no, I didn't shoot him, but one of my gang members did. This is his name, and it's on record. So now people were like, fam, for all this talk about not being a snitch and being stand up, there's a lot of examples of you snitching. So it wasn't looking good for Thugger. So to clean this all up, outside of some ridiculous social media posts, he went on Big Bang's podcast to try and explain himself and dug the hole deeper.
That was his 3-hour episode.
Yeah, he dug the hole deeper. He managed to alienate the LGTV community. I'm not. That was not a mistake. That's literally what Young Thug said. He says he supports the LGTV community. So I don't know if that's the plasma or the LCD. He made some crazy statements about how he made Thug. And it's like, no, actually, well, God made you, Gunna, but I also made you too. Didn't really address any of the mistakes he's made, any accountability. And Big Bang asked him a very legit question. He's like, fam, you got out of jail, and I can't lie to you. I've been looking at what you're doing, and I'm asking myself, what the hell are you doing? When you were in jail, did you not pray to God to get released? And Young Thug responds, yes, I did. And Big Bang asked him, so do you not realize your prayers have been answered? So why aren't you acting like it? And I don't think there was a lot of introspection after hearing that comment. But that was a great comment to give in an interview. So anyway, all this to say, guys, we are civilians. I don't care about snitching. I don't care about street politics. I just care about good music. If you're not hurting people actively, I will enjoy your music. You know what I mean? But this whole discussion about who's a snitch and who's not, I found it incredibly ridiculous.
I automatically assume that we just won't understand each other if your worldview is the idea of someone being a snitch versus not a snitch. Yeah, that's just, yeah. It's a completely different worldview, and I understand other worldviews exist. We just won't. Ati, we will not rendes Venus. We will not rendes Venus.
We will not rendes Venus. All right.
We will not.
I think to wrap up, there's one more topic that I wanted to discuss, which I found interesting. So Stats SA just released some of the key finding about household spending in South Africa. And one of the key takeaways was just how much gambling is taking over. And it's something we've discussed on the podcast before about like the gambling epidemic and how it's affecting not only, I think, America and the world, but Zim, South Africa being the neighbor of Zimbabwe, culturally there's a lot of crossover. Do you want to hear some scary stats, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
So, gambling accounts for over half of all household spending on recreation, sports, and culture in South Africa right now. Half.
So let me just, if our listeners out there are anything like me, when you hear proper English, your eyes glaze over. So, according to the stat, more than half of money spent on fun is spent on gambling.
Yeah. So
over half of recreational spend.
And also to give you an idea of the demographics that are being interviewed, it's not necessarily just poor people, because in this same
report
graph, we have gym fees coming in at 5.9%. So you already can see the demographic. Dog food, parentheses, pellets, 4.2. Printing paper, 1.7. Toy building bricks, 4.9. So these are affluent people. Doesn't seem like the sample set is somewhat middle to upper class. You know?
Mm-hmm.
They're spending a lot on gambling. Granted, I think with poorer individuals, they don't have as much disposable income, but the pull and the influence to spend on gambling is still very high. So here's another scary factoid. Income from bookmaker and online gaming services has risen sharply over the last year, more so than anything else. So in the year 2023-2024, gambling grew by 72%. Performing arts and event production was in second place. Guess what percentage they were at?
Wait, sorry. This is stats for what?
For basically the last year. So 2023-2024.
Yeah, but this is percentage of what?
So this is compare year-on-year growth.
Of what?
So what was spent from the previous reporting period on online gambling versus what was spent during this current reporting period?
Spent by who?
Growth.
Is this still the conversation about recreational
Same target
spend?
demographic.
Okay,
Huh?
cool. That's what
No. Yeah, this is now just spending on household spending.
Okay.
And game. Yeah.
Because what's confusing me is you said event what?
So performing arts and event production.
Why would a household spend on event production?
No. This is top 10 activities in the personal services industry that recorded the highest growth rates. So these are industries that service
what I was asking.
individuals.
Okay, cool. I'm with you now. So these are the industries that have grown the most.
Yeah.
Got you.
So the biggest growth in this industry was gambling at 72%. Number 2 was performing arts. Take a guess at how much?
I feel like a year-on-year growth for performing arts, like 7%.
32%. Big growth.
Hmm.
But also this is where it gets it's freaking concerning. So number 1 we've got gambling. Number 2 we've got events, which is Mafaro. So we've got Mafaro and Mafaro 1 and 2. Number 3 grew by 28%. Do you want to guess what it was, Dan?
Industries in South Africa. I don't know what.
Basically, education for grades 1 to 3. So we are spending more, or rather, South Africans are spending more for gambling and going to see Scorpion Kings than they are for paying for school fees for their toddlers.
So just going back to your first statistic that said over half of household spend on recreation is gambling. That's 54.5% is going to gambling. The number 2 is gym fees at 5.9%. That's insane. The difference between number 1 and number 2 is insane.
So here's we go. It gets worse then. It gets worse.
Jet 2 holidays, 2.1%.
So in the personal services industry, so this is, once again, things like health services, dental, health insurance, entertainment, activities, educational services, upskilling yourself, sports services, maybe getting a treatment, signing up for paddle, etc. Guess where gambling is?
I assume it's at the top.
Fine. Well, luckily, it's second to health services.
Mm.
Health services was at 35%. Gambling was right on its heels with 34%. Yo, it's real. Also, they also just there was another stat here about how casinos have actually shrunk because everyone's not just gambling on their phones. But the gambling epidemic is real, bruh. It's real.
So even just outside of the statistics, right? I do think that we're going to look back at this time in 3, 4, 5 years, and we're going to be doing documentaries and talking about just how insane it is.
Oh no, definitely, especially as sports fans. The amount of documentaries that are going to come out about how many sullied or tainted titles there have been because of gambling is going to be ridiculous. I think it's so ridiculous. It's so naive. It's so absurd.
So irresponsible, actually.
To think that you could have a sport. Granted, I understand the premise of sport, so maybe I'm a bit pragmatic and I'm a bit jaded, right? Sport isn't about everything they tell us. It's not about the quality of the game and competition, blah, blah, blah. It's just entertainers. It's a form of entertainment.
Yes.
But the reason why it works as a form of entertainment is because it works within a parameter. It works within
rules. Like there have to be
yeah.
rules. And
there are constraints within it. And one of those constraints is we are telling you this is real. Wrestling is fake. This is real. Right? This is real competition. So when a team is up 4-1, like Israel, and then they lose 5-4, it's because there was a great sports story there. It wasn't because someone told them, yo, the fix is in, let them score 5 goals. Because that's not a compelling entertainment product. But now, you've taken the short, which is you want people to be more addicted to watching the game because they want to get the FPL points. They want to make sure that they make their prop bets. But eventually, people are going to realize, yo, all of this is being affected by gambling.
Also, I mean, I'm under no illusion. Gambling has basically always existed, right? On the sidelines of sports events everywhere. The problem here is that it's mainstream.
And sanctioned.
It's sanctioned, it's mainstream, and it's pushed, it's advertised to general everyday consumers. Someone made a point that has really just like stuck with me over the years when they said, of course, there's many ways of making money, but the best way of making money is by providing value into the world. So if you provide value somehow, some way, either you create, you upgrade, you change, you provide, you create whatever the case is, you've provided a value and you earn money from it. The worst ways of making money, because they damage, even though you do make money, they damage and cause harm around, is forms of arbitrage where you're not creating value, you're finding the loopholes where you could extract your own piece from money that's going around. So for example, things like forex trading. And similarly, in a similar way, gambling, because you haven't actually created any value. You are trying to win a game of luck for you to earn money. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not out here trying to say that it's not nice to receive money or to try and say that if you are a forex trader, then you are a criminal. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying.
Except for that one that was apparently doing lives from outside the police station.
The way of, if your method of making money doesn't create value, it means you're extracting money from somewhere else. And someone unfortunate is going to bear the brunt of that. Gambling is tough because if you're the winner, there's like 1,000 losers for you to be able to be the winner. It's a net negative. And the thing is, the chances you're not going to be a winner. That's literally what gambling is. Chances are you're not going to be the winner. But for those that do, and the promise of that, it's amazing. But there's so many losers and it's a net negative. Yeah. So we are going to look back at this time, man, and we're going to be like, what was wrong with us? I can't believe on football players' shirts in and around the stadium, man, at the radio station, we've had an influx of people advertising as well. And I'm just like, yo. Yeah, I am worried. I am quite worried.
But anyway, keep that airplane flying, guys. Okay, to keep that airplane flying.
Hey, you, if you're listening to this podcast, gambling, if you're doing it purely recreationally, hey, far be it from me to stop you from pursuing the things that you want to do for fun. Just be responsible. Make sure you have a set amount and don't go past that amount. Have your fun, whatever. If you are like doing it to get out the hood, to win, don't fall into that trap. Don't. Gambling is addictive, man. That's what they say. We're going to look back at this time, guys. Mark my words. But anyway, all right, look, Phil, let's wrap this up. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything worth particularly mentioning.
I mean, anything else we'll discuss with the Patreon group. Shout out to the book club. We're going strong. I just had a family emergency this week, so we had to postpone a few things, but we are on it. I'm enjoying the book. Dan, are you joining us? It's getting really exciting.
I started reading it and I was rolling my eyes, but I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm reading it.
It's an interesting reading style. So I will say, Rebecca Yarros actually does write. She writes interesting action scenes. She's very good at describing action scenes. Everything else is whatever. So I appreciate that. This book, it has some nice points. Well, granted, it was suggested by Chris, so I think the next recommendation will come from a woman's. I'm seeing maybe we might do Akator. I also see there's Bones and Shadows and Bone. There's a Netflix series that also is based on a popular fantasy book. So there's a lot on the table. So exciting times ahead.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hey, a couple of shout outs to some people in our Patreon group, including Mr. Mediwa Gavs. Shout out to you. We saw you doing your interviews, trying to rival this podcast. We see you. He interviewed the CEO of MTN.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And shout out to Terry Moyes. Actually hit me up. Sadly, when he hit me up, I had to deal with the family emergency with this death I just mentioned. So he was around. And he did actually send a song a few weeks back that I did promise to play. So maybe we'll play out with that. So we'll play out with the Terry Moyes song.
Also, let me see who else was mentioned. Oh, someone mentioned Ropa in our group as she's doing, she was DJing for Adidas. So, shout out, Ropa.
I am size 13, Ropa. I don't know if you remembered, but I'm a size 13.
And there's a couple of people that is up on Instagram, but yeah, let's leave it for next week.
All right.
Via the Instagram DM.
All right, guys. All good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much for tuning in. Would love to hear your thoughts on any of the things we've spoken about. These days, we're getting quite introspective in our discussions, and I think your inputs would be very much valued. So yeah, hit us up on any of the social pipes at Two Broke Twimbos, or you can hit us up individually. Phil Chart, Danny, that guy. The best way for you to support this podcast is to become a Patreon subscriber, as little as $5 a month. $5, chete is just your way to support this podcast. You go to twobroketwimbos.com/donate. You'll find the helpful links there to the Patreon, or you can just search for Two Broke Twimbos on Patreon, and you can subscribe. There's several tiers available, so if you feel that you have much more financial muscle, we would greatly appreciate your supporting the podcast in that way. You can also just give us a once-off donation if you don't want to necessarily commit to a monthly thing. We also appreciate it. Or if you're already paying monthly and you're like, no, but these guys really said something this week. $50 here and you eat, bah! You know what? $100 here and you, bah! You can also do once-off donations there by twobroketumbos.com/donate. Other ways you can support us is simply by liking, resharing, reposting, and dropping a comment on this podcast. So if you're going to rate and review, we would greatly appreciate it. In fact, Phil, I think we need to start working on a campaign to increase the ratings and reviews of our podcast on the different platforms. We want to be able to be discoverable.
Yeah, that would be dope.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you much. We'll catch you in the next one. We out.
DJ The weight's too heavy, you don't have to bear it alone. It's all about corner, my brother, you know you got my phone. And you so you go shit, yeah, we got dreams to pursue. It's all good part of me, so when you're feeling blue. See, I find out we're more than just friends. We're your family to the very end. But my obalega, I'll be running with you. Together we're stronger, that's what real ones do. Oh, can you go so boomer? Just believe in the time. Is a bambi color till the pain is gone. Mana chokoja, mana chorema, malina chitemba. Don't ever give up hope. Don't get sick of logo. You know I got your back. Just speak to me. Kulumanam, just speak to me. You know you can lean on me. Lean on me. Lean on me. I know it gets hard. Sometimes you wanna fade away, but trust me, shit, I food, you'll see a brighter day. Ain't no shame in feeling low. We've all been there. Upon no tonga, me no want the money, shiva karonga. So when it's dark and you're losing your fight, remember you don't have to go do this alone tonight. Tough times they come and go, but we gon' stand tall. Simuka, even if you feel like you may fall. Kana shokosha, kana shorema, unadila chitemba. Don't ever give up hope. Don't get sick of logo. You know I got your back. Just speak to me. Just speak to me. You know you can lean on me. Lean on me. Lean on me. Together we stand. No one left behind. Articulate. No matter the fight. See a bonga yelele. We that push, we that go. Some cases up with me lela. Oh, kana shokosha, kana shorema, marina fitemba. Don't ever give up hope. Don't get sick of logo. You know I got your back. Just speak to me. Just speak to me. You know you can lean on me. Lean on me. Yeah. Lean on me. Kana shokosha, kana shorema.